Hi and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA, where we always start off with the last one standing. We've had the international break and now we're back. Budge, let's go through the figures. 350 left.
350 entries left, Paul, yeah.
They went through Man City, West Ham, Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Crystal Palace and Brighton. The guys that went were Brentford, Chelsea, Newcastle, Sheffield United and Everton. 28 ladies, Budge.
28 ladies, Paul, yeah. They'll be in study mode next couple of days, so...
Okay, just under 10% of the ladies are left in the competition. Special mentions, always interesting. You might have to refresh me on a few of these guys. Chris Wheeler, he's the postnet man.
He's the postnet head man, yeah.
Katsu...
yeah, he's Leisha. Leisha runs one of Chris's branches. Kutso's the husband, so he's going strong.
Okay. Matthew Dorigo.
Yeah.
Okay. Tony Bargate.
Yeah.
Sean Cullen, I don't know if he's Clive Williamson, a boy from Joburg.
Yeah.
Clivey, well done. Manny Almeida.
Yeah, Manuel, yeah.
Jared Michaud. Richie Michael. Itchy's still going well. So these are getting special mentions. Stewie Cameron.
Yeah.
Rion Diaga. Ravi Naidu. Larry Weinstein, he's always there, the boxing promoter. Ryan Massey, I don't know.
Yeah. Craig's brother.
Greg Petzer.
Yeah.
Gary Rich. Wow. James Rich. Patrick Masson, or was it Masson?
Masson, yeah.
Masson. Sean Harper.
Yeah.
Johnny Arthur, what's his surname? Graham Clark and Dale Otto, the Pinetown boy.
Yeah, that boys.
They got special mention.
Yeah, Paul, it's nice to get a mention. Last week we mentioned a whole lot of others. The ladies have had their shot previous round, and so have the international guys.
Who's
so
those favourite, Budge?
Oh, Enzo's cruising. He's at the moment.
Enzo Capella's still favourite to win it.
Liverpool Supporters Club. The only thing to see who is on this week.
When has an Italian won anything? No Italians won on our show yet.
No, not many.
George,
Paul.
George, a Greek.
Yeah,
George.
Paul, just 12:30 Saturday. First game's Liverpool Wolves. So 12:30 Saturday,
Where
guys.
is it at?
It's at Wolves. So please,
Okay, you got those times, guys. Make sure you get sorted. We're going to get Stevie B on the line now. He's in the UK. Stevie, you with us?
I'm with you. Good morning, guys.
Morning,
still
Stevie.
in the competition,
You're still in, Steve.
Still in the competition, indeed. Round 5.
Just to let you know, Charlie Pigram is still in, but Mark went out. Mark Abood.
Abood gone.
Yeah, I saw him. He told me.
Steve, on to the weekend. Any major injury news?
Well, obviously, a lot of players have been away on international duty.
Yeah.
And until I guess the managers will start their press conferences today, we don't really know. But I mean, I suspect that maybe one or two niggles. Yeah. Obviously, with all the travelling and especially the guys who have travelled sort of far. But hopefully, no. I've not heard of any big major ones have got injured, other than the ones that we already know about who didn't play for their countries.
Yeah. Okay, and Jadon Sancho, what's the latest with that one?
Well, I heard that he's deleted his tweets and he's been included in United's 25-man squad. So I suspect they'll look to sort of reintegrate him. He's not going anywhere, and whether or not he's going to make his peace with Ten Hag, or he'll be kicking his heels in the reserves.
Yeah. Sad to think a guy's on over £300,000 a week acts like that. Just doesn't make sense. And
keep stum and fight for your place.
Well, that's how he should be. But we're having a rough ride with Greenwood, who'll play this week for Getafe, and Anthony. He's also missing for the weekend. And to me, I think that's a blessing.
That's a win.
And
well, I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I mean, it sounds as things stand, this could be another situation like the Greenwood situation. So, United have got their fair share of problems here. Sort of losing Anthony, I suspect. Maybe that's why they definitely included Sancho back in. But
Steve, I spoke to Paul yesterday at the races, and I won't go. Man United's top 6 signings haven't performed. He's the second highest that we ever paid, over 80 million. Can't believe it. Di Maria, you can't believe the signings. Maguire, Lukaku, Pogba. Shocking. But I think it's a blessing that he's gone.
Who's the winger, Brazilian winger? Anthony,
he's the guy.
Murder, she wrote.
85 million. But anyway, let's go on to the weekend's fixtures, Paul. And Saturday. Thank God there's no Friday night game. But Wolves, Liverpool, Steve. How do you see it
Well,
going?
I fancy Liverpool to continue their sort of fairly decent start. Obviously, a big win when they won at Newcastle a few weeks ago. Wolves have stuttered. They've had that win at Everton, but otherwise haven't really done much. I fancy Liverpool to again, assuming everyone's back in one piece, I think Liverpool should get a result there.
Yeah, Steve, I totally agree. I think there'll be goals. Liverpool to win, both teams to score. One thing about Wolves, they do create chances, and the left wing playing against Trent. Now they'll have a go. Lunchtime kickoffs, and I agree. This is always the week you tend to get upsets, especially with the South American guys coming back. But 4-10, Liverpool, good things to me, even though it's an early kickoff.
But remember as well, I mean, the player who stood out in their opening game at Old Trafford has gone.
Yeah.
He's gone to Man City. So,
I
think that's... it doesn't look like they've replaced him. So, that could be a bit of a loss for them.
Have they still got Kuna? He's a good player.
Yeah, they've got a few good players.
He's a good player. He
They've got a few
terrorised
good
them.
players, but as I say, Mateus Nunes, he stood out in that opening game. He was probably the best player on the pitch, and the City pushed hard to get him.
Yeah, 40 or 50 odd million. Anyway, gone to Man City. Anyway, Aston Villa, Steve. The last game wasn't their best performance at Anfield, but 9-10 at home against Crystal Palace. What do you think?
I think that they should start as favourites. Palace are a hard team to beat.
Yeah.
They score goals, but they're dotted around. So they've got anyone up front can score a goal for them. I think Villa. You don't know what you're going to get with Villa. They've been very mixed this season. It's obviously that huge defeat at the beginning, then came back with a couple of wins. I think Villa should start as favourites, but I think it'll be close.
Yeah, I think it'll be goals. Villa have won their last 8 at home. So rather than take 9-10 Villa to win, I think there will be goals. I've gone Villa to score over 1.5 goals at the same price. But Fulham, Luton, Steve, big game for you this week. How do you see it going?
It is a big game. I mean, we need to get our home. We've played 3 away and 1 at home, and obviously we lost that one to Brentford. Yeah. Look, on paper we should win. I think Luton haven't got a point yet. They're gonna look at this and think they could get something. I fancy us to win, but I think there'll certainly be goals. I don't think defensively either team are that strong. But I'm just hoping that our new signings, someone like Jimenez scored for Mexico, and hopefully he'll get his first goal for us. I fancy us to win, but I think it will be close.
Yeah, I think there'll be plenty of goals. Over
2.5
goals, both teams to score, 14-10, worth an interest. Yeah. Man United, Brighton, Steve. Can't have Man United, even though at home we've only lost one of the last 20. Yeah. The one that beat us was Brighton, first game of last season, they beat us 2-1.
Tight game.
I can't have Man United on what I've seen this season, Steve. But how do you see it?
Well, I think that's the thing. It's at home. I mean, obviously away. Yeah. Brighton did the double over them last year, but I think United might just edge it. But you just don't know. Brighton have started off like a house on fire, and then really came unstuck against West Ham, but bounced back against Newcastle. You're just not quite sure what you're going to get with United, though. I mean, it's a real at home. As you say, the last time they lost at home in the league was against Brighton on the opening game of last season. Yeah. I think they'll start as favourites, but I think it's going to be very close. Yeah,
I think there'll be goals in this. It just depends on the McGregors. At the Ferguson injury, sorry. If he's fit and firing, but he never played for the Republic.
A lot of games without him.
Yeah.
They're a good side.
Good side. Just think that you have a look at their last 2 major smacks. Everton caught them on the break, and West Ham caught them on the break. And if you look at United's strength, it is catching teams on the break, even though it is at Old Trafford. I just can't back Man United. 1, 2, 3 in exotics, but definitely goals.
What I don't know is whether or not Højlund is going to be fit to start for United, because they've spent all this money. They need a forward. To be honest, Ferguson looks the sort of player that you could see in a United shirt in a few years. Yeah. He looks like the perfect
I think he'll play, Steve.
9.
I think he'll start. He came on twice for Denmark.
I've seen
the
them
internationals.
They're all good things when they get there.
Yeah.
A year's time, we want to get rid of them.
Yeah, I just need a number 9. We've got to play off somebody. So I think he'll play. And I think Anthony, wouldn't say it's a loss. I think it's a blessing. Yeah. But be occasional. Paul Spurs Everyone's up in
Everyone's
seventh
good.
top
Yeah,
spirits.
Yeah, we're up there. We're up near the top of the league. I think hard team to beat at home against Sheffield United. You know, they were very good at home against Man United. No, I think we got too much firepower, but Spurs are famous for hiccups. But I really think they'll be hard to beat.
What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think Tottenham. I mean, again, if they reproduce the form that they've been showing in the league, they should be too strong for Sheffield United. I think if they get a goal ahead, I think they'll be too strong. You know, look, they're going to make themselves hard to beat Sheffield. I mean, they're desperate to try and pick up some points along, soon. But I think Tottenham will carry on their run. They're scoring goals, Spurs, that's for sure. And I think that they'll continue to do that. And I think they'll win by at least a couple.
Yeah,
Tottenham to win. I think Romero was a doubt.
Okay.
But I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, Tottenham to win over 2.5 goals, 12-10. The only concern I would have is playing away from home. Spurs have been brilliant on the counter-attack, Maddison especially. At the stadium, they will sit back, but I just can't see them scoring.
Me too. Sheffield United don't look that strong going forward. When we beat United, when we got that second goal, it was an own goal.
Yeah.
But the closest guy to sticking it in was our left back. Behind him was our centre half.
They're getting forward.
The old managers that would have sat back 1-0 up against United. No, they're getting forward. So I think they're going to have a full go. Whether Sheffield can close the
I think you don't have to worry about them scoring too often. So have a go. But Spurs over 2.5 goals, 12-10. On to the next game, Steve. West Ham, Man City. I was listening to guys last night. West Ham haven't got a bad record against Man City. Can they cause an upset?
Well, whether or not, I don't think they could beat them, but I mean, it's possible they could hold them. They certainly showed some spirit against Chelsea, for example, and a great win at Brighton. They're full of confidence. But you just think, is the City juggernaut? We don't. Grealish wasn't available for England, whether or not he's fit. Pep still. For me, I mean, they're still the team to beat. They spluttered. It's interesting. Apart from that VAR goal in the first half, they weren't that impressive against Fulham.
Yeah.
Second half, once they scored the third, it was just a matter of how many. But I think this is going to be a trickier game than I think we might have thought a few weeks ago. But I think City might just edge it.
Yeah, got to agree. I think West Ham will score. They are dangerous. But one thing about Pep, he's tightened it up at the back.
Aki,
I don't
know if he's going to concede too much.
Yeah, that's I can see. The days are over of this swashbuckling football without De Bruyne. But you've got to fancy Man City to get a result. Steve, the team have been just as bad as Man United in the last couple of weeks in Newcastle. They were disgraceful. I spoke to a couple of Newcastle fans. They couldn't believe it. They think the manager's on the hot seat. I doubt it. They've got Champions League football in midweek. I think they travel to AC Milan. This is a big game coming up against Brentford. This Wednesday coming. Or Tuesday they go to Italy. They don't get a result here. You know what's going to happen, Steve? There'll be rumours about a new manager.
Well, look, I mean, I think that's, as much as, Eddie Howe's done a great job there, but, the people who invested all that money in them, want success. They've got Champions League football, but they don't want to start falling away. Last season, they were, hardly lost a game in the opening part of the season. Here, they've lost 3 or 4. When you think they started like a house on fire with that huge win. But again, if they'd have taken their chances against Liverpool, it could have been comfortable for them. But they were quite poor at Brighton last time out, but very surprisingly poor. I think they'll start as favourites, but again, Brentford are going to be in their face. They'll be hard to beat, but I think that Newcastle should just edge it. But it's going to be interesting with Champions League football as well. I'm not sure they've got the squad that can compete on at that sort of level and put in those huge performances in the Premier League as well yet. So we'll see.
Yeah, they're going to take their chances. One thing about Brentford, they've only lost one of the last 11, including last season. That was at Anfield. They lost 1-0. They're not an easy touch, Brentford, so it wouldn't surprise me if there's an upset. Bournemouth, Chelsea on Sunday, Steve. Is this the time Chelsea finally come back to winning ways?
Well, look, I mean, I don't think there aren't many people that thought the Forest were going to win there. This is, you just don't know what you're going to get with Chelsea. I mean, they certainly misfired. They had enough chance or half chances, but they just haven't got that sort of killer number 9 obviously they brought in Nkunku, who's injured. Jackson looks okay, but I don't think he's going to get 20 league goals for them.
Yeah.
And you just don't know what you're going to get. I fancy them to get a result, because away I think they're probably slightly more dangerous. But, Bournemouth's going to give it a go. They've got nothing to lose. So I think it's going to be close, but I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea just edge it.
Yeah, I agree. Just hard to see Bournemouth. When they played Spurs at home, bar 1 or 2 chances, it was 1 and a half time. Spurs totally outclassed them. Big game for Bournemouth. They don't start getting results at home. Yeah. They're going to be in that drop zone.
They got a good result the other day.
Yeah, they've played a couple of good results. Yeah, they drew at Brentford, but I don't know. I just don't like what I see. But with Chelsea, you just never know. They're capable of doing anything. But I think there will be goals. Yeah. Everton, Arsenal, Steve. Another Everton. They seem to have the bogey on over Arsenal, but it's hard to see an upset.
Well, I mean, it was a huge win last season. It was one of those results that really kept them up. But again, you just think that Arteta's got to keep that sort of run going and keep challenging up there. I think that Everton can show fight. I mean, I think that, if they dig deep and make it hard, but if Arsenal score first, I think they'll press on and win that. I fancy Arsenal to get a result there.
Yeah, so do I. I think Everton are going to be dangerous on set pieces, Steve. One thing about Sean Dyche, his teams are dangerous on set pieces. And at home, I think that's going to be his best avenue of scoring. I think they'll score, but I think this has got 3-1 written all over it. And on to Monday night, Steve. Notts Forest Burnley. How do you see it going?
Well, I mean, Forest, it was a big win for them at Chelsea. I think they'll start as favourites. I mean, they've the squad is like a revolving door there. Players they brought in last season have already gone out. They brought new ones in. Burnley haven't got going yet. I think this is the sort of game that Burnley would want to try and the company's going to want to try and get something. But I think that Forest will start as favourites, and it wouldn't surprise me we'd end up with something like a sort of a 1-0 win. Forest had a few 1-0s last year, and I think Forest should just edge this.
Yeah, I think Burnley are going to turn up. When you have a look who they've played, they played Man City 3-0. They played Spurs. They always look like scoring, but they did concede. And losing at Aston Villa, they got sucker punched twice. I got a funny feeling this is a time that they can get a result. They did beat Forest in the League Cup. And I took 18-10 Burnley to score over 1.5 goals. For me, I think there's goals in this, Steve. And I fancy Burnley to cause a bit of an upset. I know Forest at home haven't done bad, but I think this is put up or shut up for companies. Come with a great reputation. If they don't get a result here, but they've got 1 or 2, Paul. I see our man scored for Bafana the other day. He scored it when we beat Congo, so he's up front. He's done a good job. But I just got a funny feeling Burnley are going to turn it around here. That's my Monday night, so let's see. Steve, on to the championship. And I won't say too much other than my boys are top of the league, Preston. But 2 good games on Friday. Hull City against Coventry. Which way do you see it going?
Yeah, Hull have had a decent start. I mean, Coventry sort of flattered to deceive a little bit. I thought they were very unlucky at Leicester and then had a good win against Borough, but since then they've not really done much. But Hull, Liam Rosenior's doing well there, and I fancy Hull to get a result.
Yeah, I back.
Was he a presenter?
That was Leroy is the presenter, but his son Liam, he's the manager.
Okay, I've got it.
Both played at Fulham.
That's right.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Steve, I've been on Coventry. I was on them a couple of weeks ago. They drew 3-3 at home against Watford. But I think there's goals in this, Paul. So that's the way I'm going to go. Yeah. The next game's a big game of the weekend. 2 relegated sides, Southampton, Leicester. Which way do you see it going?
Yeah, it's definitely a big game, and I mean, Leicester sort of came unstuck last time round, very surprisingly. I think at home Southampton edge it, but there's definitely going to be goals.
Yeah.
It might well be that they cancel each other out, but I could see a sort of a 2-2 sort of game.
Yeah. 7-10 over 2.5 goals, and remember Southampton's last game they got beat 5-0 at Sunderland, so they're going to have to rebound. But big game for both clubs. On to Saturday, and Michael Carrick, he must be wondering what he's got to do. Bottom of the league, haven't won in 5 against a Blackburn team. They sold Bradley Dack to Sunderland. I fancy Blackburn here, Steve. Ewood Park, they're always dangerous. I think 16-10 is a good price. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Middlesbrough are really just, most pundits fancied them this season to have it, but they've started off shockingly, again, losing their top scorer from last year and not replacing him adequately, I think, and they had some good loan players that have gone back. I think you're right. I think Blackburn could well start as favourites. They've had a decent start.
Yeah, 16-10 and all my bets. Bristol City, West Brom. Fancied West Brom last time out. They got beat 2-1 at home by Huddersfield. Still can't believe it. Shocking result.
Shocking result.
But Bristol City, you just can't catch them. I think it's Nigel Pearson's side. There'll definitely be goals, Steve, but which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, both teams. I mean, they're not sort of like, as you say, West Brom. I mean, you wouldn't have had any money on Huddersfield beating them. Yeah. I fancy Bristol City. I think at home they're a decent side. I think that they might just edge it.
Yeah, I think there'll be goals. That's the best way. Both teams to score. I saw 7-10. So that's the way I'm going. On to our next page, and we've got Huddersfield versus Rotherham. Great result for Huddersfield last time they're out. Should be a good bet to beat Rotherham, Steve.
I would have thought so. Rotherham haven't really done anything on the road, had a couple of big defeats. I would fancy, especially after that result last week for Huddersfield, I think that Neil Warnock's going to be hoping that they reproduce that form, and I think that they should get the 3 points.
Norwich too good for Stoke City at home?
Yeah, I think so. Norwich have had a few good results recently, and I fancy them strongly at home to win that.
Yeah, just hard to catch Stoke City.
Well, they're still top of the log.
The Invincibles, even money, best bet of the weekend, top of the league.
The Invincibles.
And only team in the history of England that's never lost a game. League or Cup in a season. Arsenal's Invincibles lost 5. 1888.
Gee, that's
Can you
a
believe
lull
it?
before the storm.
Talk about lull before the storm. I watched us against Stoke, Steve. I thought we played well. Yeah, Will Keane's up front, looking good. I think we'd be too good at home against Plymouth, Steve. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's a long way for Plymouth to travel, for sure. Yeah. And although, they've had a couple of decent results, Plymouth, I think Preston, rightly should start as favourites. I don't think there'll be many goals. I think that's obviously Preston's strength is if they get ahead is shutting up shop. But I think you're right. I think that hopefully it's not the kiss of death for them, but I think Preston to carry on their run. Yeah,
top of the league, the Invincible.
Yeah,
that's right, it is. Yeah, Preston. Sunderland, great result last weekend, but QPR also had a good result last weekend, Steve. Surely Sunderland, there've got to be goals in that, but which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I think you're right. Sunderland, that was a huge performance. I watched quite a bit of it. Really couldn't believe it, that how they tore them apart. I think if they reproduce form like that, I think they should be favourites to win.
Yeah, Bradley Dack signed for them, but QPR beat Middlesbrough away, so you just never know with the hoops. On to the final page, we've got Sheffield Wednesday against the Tractor Boys of Ipswich Town.
They're second.
Secondly, going well. Only Leeds have beat them. Yeah. Should another away victory?
Well, Sheffield Wednesday have really having a difficult season. Yeah. They concede a lot of goals, and Ipswich score goals for fun. Yeah. I think Ipswich should well start as favourites for this.
Yeah, it's hard to these teams get promoted, especially by the playoffs. They tend to struggle, but Ipswich, great start. So let's see what happens. Watford, Birmingham City, Tom Brady's team, unbeaten in 5.
Unbeaten in 5.
Yeah, I fancy them. They've got a very good young player on loan from Fulham, Jay Stansfield, who scored for them. Scored the winner against Millwall. I fancy them. Watford had that huge win at the beginning of the season and have done nothing since. Yeah. Really got that sort of draw at Coventry, but otherwise struggled. I fancy Birmingham to pull off a bit of a surprise. I think there's a lot of value in that.
8-10 win and draw, 28-10, decent price. The Welsh Derby, Saturday night, Cardiff City against Swansea. Steve, you were right last week going against Swansea at home when Bristol City beat them 2-1. You going for Cardiff City this time?
Yeah, this is what's really strange is that this in recent years this game has often played Sunday lunchtime.
Yes.
To stop the fans from drinking during the day. How the police have allowed this to happen, to be played on a Saturday night, it's just a recipe disaster, sadly. But it's a huge derby down there. It's no love lost whatsoever.
Yeah.
Cardiff will start as favourites. There's no question. They haven't got the best record against Swansea in recent seasons when they played each other. But I think Cardiff this season have probably just about got the edge over them. Swansea again, very disappointing. But they sold just before the window shut. They sold their top scorer to Leeds. Pirro. So you just wonder where Swansea's goals are going to come from.
Yeah, totally agree. But there's always goals in this game, Steve. So I went both teams to score 7.5 to 10, took the easy way out. But I like what I've seen from Cardiff. I've watched them twice. They did well against Leeds away from home, but at home, local derby, you just never know. Mentioning Leeds, Steve, 13 to 10 to win at Millwall on Sunday.
15th.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, this is a big game. I mean, there's absolutely no love lost between the clubs and the fans.
Yeah.
Millwall have got a decent record against Leeds. I'm not so sure that it's going to be quite as straightforward for Leeds to go there. I mean, they've obviously strengthened Leeds, brought in, as I say, Pirro from Swansea. Millwall at home are always hard to beat. Yeah. I think this would be a very tight game with a very vociferous crowd. I think it's the sort of game that could be a bit of a stalemate.
I think Leeds been impressed. They've been scoring goals, Leeds. That's the only thing here. Millwall don't score many, even though they are defensively well organised. But Sunday lunchtime, Leeds United, I'll be watching, and I think Leeds can edge that, Steve. But I went the goals route. I think there will be goals, especially the way Leeds play. They have a go. They don't stop attacking. Big crowd. I fancy Leeds of the team. Steve, pressure time again. I need your best bet and value bet, please.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go for Norwich as my best bet. Yeah. I've looked, really like what I've seen. And my value bet, I'm going to go for Birmingham. Yeah. I don't think my brother would be very happy if he's listening, but I just think that they brought a number of players in, and they're looking quite strong this season.
All right, Steve. My value bet is Blackburn. I think 16 to 10 is a great price. And I'm going with my boys, Preston. I was going to go into Spain. Celta Vigo, I think, would be too good for Mallorca. But it's hard to trust the team. Play well against the big teams, poorly against the bad teams. But I'm going with my boys, Preston North End, even money. I think that's a gift. Steve, as always, thank you. And remember, your last one standing pick. Don't put the iron to Spurs. That's all I'm saying.
Paul, I'm just going to apologise to Paul in advance. Okay.
I'll take Fulham then. All the best, Stevie. All the best.
Bye, Steve.
Talk to you soon.
Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Right, thanks very much to Stevie B. Steve Bram's there in the UK, and a great pundit. He knows his football. But now we're going to talk local football. Budge. PSL fixtures.
Paul, there's only 4 games. There's several teams involved in CAF this weekend.
Yes.
So unfortunately, we only have 4. And we'll bring the betting up now. Morocco Swallows at home. Done well, Paul. They won their last 2. You just never know with Richards Bay. They haven't won in 5. You've got to fancy Swallows. But it's hard taking odds on a PSL team, Paul. They don't score many goals. But 8 to 10 Swallows, Paul, they do look good things against a mediocre Richards Bay. The next game over this 11 to 10, I had a look this morning, both teams to score. Golden Arrows have done great, Paul. They score goals aplenty. Playing at Hammersdale. And Stellenbosch, one thing we know about Steve Barker's team, they're not going to sit back.
They're not gonna
They've lost their last 3, including the MTN8 semi-final. They lost 2 in the league and 1 in the first leg of the MTN8. They had a player sent off when they were leading. So you expect them to come firing back. So for me, both teams to score, I'd rather take that than 11 to 10 Arrows. Chiefs finally are playing at the FNB, Paul. I don't know why they keep travelling around the country for their home to play their home games. They haven't got they've got the supporters, but the support aren't coming out anymore. So 7 to 10, but to beat Royal AM, which should be a good thing, but Royal AM have won their last 2, and it's just hard to trust Chiefs, even though they played well against Sundowns. They drew 1-1, they conceded late. But 7 to 10 Chiefs, Paul, they've let me down many a time. And Amazulu, Cape Town City. Amazulu's 3 home games, 1 win, 2 draws, scored 1 goal. But Cape Town City, Tinkler's side have lost their last couple. So
they're struggling a little bit.
Struggling a bit.
Suddenly struggling, but it'll be an interesting game.
Interesting game. So the draw would be my suggestion on that particular game with Amazulu. But really difficult, Paul. But Golden Arrows still in watch.
Good, Buzz. Let's see how you've selected today.
Yeah,
this will
Paul,
be interesting.
We've got our gold circle score 6 again, and I'm bankering Liverpool to beat Wolves I'm going the field in the Aston Villa, Crystal Palace and Man United, Brighton games, bankering Tottenham to beat Sheffield United and Man City to beat West Ham. And I don't trust Newcastle United on recent performances. So I've gone 1-2-3 there, 162. On to Soccer 6, the other one. I'm going the field in the Golden Arrow Stellenbosch game. I'm going Borussia Dortmund to avoid defeat in Freiburg. The field in the Wolfsburg versus Union Berlin fixture. I think Feyenoord will be too good for Heerenveen. I'm charging Inter Milan to win the local derby against AC Milan. And I've thrown the draw in. Kaiser Chiefs at home against Royal AM, 2-1-6. On to our score 10. I'm banking Liverpool to beat Wolves. Aston Villa win and draw at home against Crystal Palace. Throwing the draw in with Fulham at home against Luton Town. Man United, I can't see beating Brighton. I'm going the field in that particular clash. Tottenham should outclass Sheffield United. Onto the second page, I think Man City will beat West Ham. Blackburn Rovers win and draw at home against Middlesbrough, as well as Norwich City win and draw at home against Stoke City. I'm banking Preston North End to beat Plymouth Argyle, and the field in the Newcastle versus Brentford match, 288. Onto the Soccer 13, I'm going the field in the Newcastle United Brentford, Man United Brighton games, banking Man City to beat West Ham, Tottenham to beat Sheffield United, Aston Villa to beat Crystal Palace, Fulham to beat Luton, and Blackburn to beat Middlesbrough. Onto the second page, I'm going West Brom win and draw at Bristol City, going for Norwich City to beat Stoke City, Preston North End to beat Plymouth Argyle, and 3 draw and away games. I'm going Sunderland at QPR, Ipswich Town at Sheffield Wednesday, and Birmingham City at Watford, 288.
Right, Budge, my favourite
Budgie's
page.
bets,
Your
yeah,
best
Paul.
bets. Let's have a look. Tell me your
Paul, the
thinking
odds
here,
were
Budge.
so short on some of them, it was frightening.
Yeah,
Paul,
okay.
I'm going Liverpool to beat Wolves and both teams to score. I'm going Arsenal to beat Everton and both teams to score. And over 2.5 goals, Bournemouth, Chelsea, 2,400 to 200.
Okey-doke.
My team goal sides, I'm going Aston Villa, Fulham, Chelsea and Burnley, all to score over 1.5 goals.
Burnley is my worry.
Yep, I think they'll score a couple, 2,800 to 200.
Okay.
Onto the championship, I'm going Blackburn to beat Middlesbrough, Preston to beat Plymouth, and over 2.5 goals in the Southampton-Leicester game on Friday and Millwall-Leeds game on Sunday, 3,500 to 200.
That's a nice bet, Budge.
Yeah. Pull the odds, both teams to score sides. I've had to add an extra to get over 10 to 1. I'm going Southampton, Leicester City, Bristol City, West Brom, Norwich, Stoke City, QPR, Sunderland, and Millwall, Leeds, 3,000 to 200. On to Spain, where I'm going Atletico Madrid to win in Valencia, Celta Vigo to be too good at home against Mallorca, and both teams to score in the Getafe, Osasuna, and Granada, Girona games, 3,400 to 200. And our Collis King 6 or Nixa, I'm going Bayern Munich to beat Bayer Leverkusen. That's a Friday game. Harry Kane, yep, 7 to 10. I can't believe, big price. Liverpool to beat Wolves, Tottenham to beat Sheffield United, Preston to beat Plymouth, Celta Vigo to beat Mallorca, and Real Madrid to beat Real Sociedad, 4,000 to 200.
Hey, some good bets there, Budge. Well, there we go. It looks very interesting. Good to get back to our British Premier League and that. And don't forget the last one standing. Get those bets in. The first game is on Saturday.
Saturday is 1:30, Paul, Liverpool. So
Liverpool,
12:30,
there you go.
because we just have to double check all the names, Paul. That takes a lot of time.
Yeah, looking through the past competitions, we got a train smash coming somewhere. I don't know where it is. Try and stand. Until next time, stay on side.
There's always